I can't seem to face up to the facts. I'm tense and nervous and I can't relax.
You ready now?
I can't sleep.
You ready? You're just gonna keep sipping. I can hear your gulping. I hope our audience can hear our gulping because we've been recording.
Fantastic.
Rissa is back. Although your episode went up last week, so technically it's like in the
Back to back.
In the universe, it feels like you've been here for 2 weeks. Actually, 3 weeks, right? We did the New Year's Eve one,
What did we do on
and then
New Year's
Rissa.
Eve?
It was just like a good things that happened, and then we have this one. Is that 3 weeks?
Oh shit, yeah.
James and I did the Logan Paul one.
Yeah.
One was, I don't know, but you've been here like more in the like last 3 weeks than you have been in like the entire like the world. So
Well, you're welcome, people.
my fans,
My fans.
I've returned.
They need a name. All 3 of them.
The mer.
The Mer people.
That'll work.
Yeah.
So we're back.
That's all.
If you didn't know, it's Rissa and Carly here.
Carly's a hoe.
No, I'm not actually. We've got a podcast that we're finally gonna do today that we've had planned
Since the beginning.
Yeah, since like when we first sat down and we're like, okay, let's plan out like our first 5 episodes. This I think was one of them.
Yeah.
And we just haven't done it.
I feel like there needs to be more of these podcasts out there because I looked for some that were like, by the way, serial killers.
Yes, that is the topic of this
Topic
this
is
week.
serial killers. And there's not that many.
No, there's one. They're 2 girls, and the name escapes me now. But I tried listening to them, and they're like the most popular. It may be like my favorite killer or something is the name of the podcast. And I tried listening to it because I thought, oh, that'll be interesting. And like for the first half hour of it, they're just talking normal, which is I guess kind of what we're doing now.
Whoops.
But for it's like a good half hour, they're just talking to each other about like their daily lives. I'm like, I want to know about the killings.
Yeah.
So get into it.
Death and the gore.
Yeah. So I don't know. I only listened to one. I only listened to a couple, and they were all kind of like that. But I got the idea for this one. I was listening to Anna Faris's, and she was these 2 girls were on hers, and they went over some serial killers. So that's where I got the idea from. So do you wanna? We have 2 each. Do you wanna go first? You want me to go first?
You can go first.
Okay.
Actually, no, I'll go first.
Okay.
I changed my mind.
Okay.
Alright, cool.
Go away.
So, our first serial killer is a New Jersey native. The Iceman. Richard Kuklinski. Guess in Polish. But,
Are you profiling?
I am.
Let's be honest. If your name ends in a ski,
Yeah,
you're probably from
Polish.
Yeah.
You're from Polish. So this guy is pretty interesting because he is actually a mob hitman. I mean, you can't get any more Jersey
Than a mob hitman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, keeping with the theme of our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So his early life, pretty basic for like the serial killer like profile.
He was a basic bitch.
He's a basic serial killer bitch. He was abused by his alcoholic father,
Which we will learn. There's some common themes going on there.
And he was also abused by his mother, mostly with broomsticks.
Ouch.
Yeah, I know.
Poor little Polish man.
Poor little serial killer.
Yeah, really.
For real. I mean, still not an excuse to go and kill people.
Yeah.
But
he definitely had some issues.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of mommy and daddy issues when it comes to serial killers.
Yeah, lots.
So he had 2 brothers. His older brother was killed by his father. He's not having a good start at life.
Wait, his older brother was killed by his dad?
Yeah.
Wow. So he knew death Pretty early on.
And then his younger brother raped and killed a 12-year-old.
Oh, I just gotta chill.
And died in prison in 2003.
Deserved it.
Deserved it, yes. Let's see. What else do I have? At age 10, he tortured and killed animals. I mean, it's one thing to kill people. Leave the animals out of it.
Leave the animals alone.
Them, like, tear each other apart.
Why?
Real messed up. Like, this is like a 10-year-old. This is like basically like Amy doing this stuff. Is her little cousin who would be appalled by all of this.
Yeah.
By age 14, he committed his first murder of Charlie Chase, beating the leader of a teenage gang to death. He removed his teeth and fingerprints and threw him off a bridge.
Pretty sure I was watching like Seventh Heaven, Full House at 14.
Yeah, I was.
And this guy's taking off fingerprints.
I think like High School Musical came out when I was like 14, so that's where I was at in life. And so yeah, he killed this kid that was like the leader of the gang, and then he like went after like the other 6 gang members and like nearly beat them to death.
My God.
Yeah, he was a messed up kid. He dropped out of school at 8th grade. I mean, like, makes sense.
Yeah.
You already killed people. Like, what else can school teach you?
You've grown enough.
Yeah. So then he married this lady, Barbara.
Poor Barb.
And she didn't know.
Always a Barb.
Always a Barb. And they had 2 kids, and she didn't know anything until he got caught by the cops.
Barb.
Like, nothing.
Barb.
Like, and like, he's like admitted to like a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's never, like, he's never admitted to like her knowing anything.
Yeah.
Like, it was like all a shock to her.
Wow.
So,
so he must have been like a double life. Like, if she didn't know, then he was probably kind of like a nice man at home.
I was watching this documentary on him. It's like an HBO one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so weird the way like he talks about like his killings. It's just like, oh, the weather's nice out. I saw this guy on the side of the road and I shot him in the head with a crossbow.
Well, that's like in the Mindhunter.
Yeah.
The guy that they go talk to is so like casual about the women that he killed. It's so weird.
This guy, like, you could tell this guy's like could mess people up, and like
Yeah.
he's talking, you're like, oh, okay, and like he's just like so like straight faced, just all of it. It's so creepy. But he also had a serial killer friend.
Oh.
Who is
Common hobbies.
Yeah, and the serial killer, his name was like his like serial killer name was like Mr. Softy, and he was this guy, and his cover was driving a Mr. Softy truck.
Oh.
So yeah, so he was friends with him, and he taught him like how to like freeze the dead bodies, and then like then you put them out to defrost, so then like the cops like don't really know when it actually like the body was killed.
Smart.
So he learned from that.
Is that why he was called the Iceman? Did he
and that was
froze
actually
his
that's how he got caught, because one time they found the body before it fully defrosted, so they figured out what he was doing.
Oh.
So then they were able to like pin down like when the person was actually killed. But yeah, he's just like, he's so crazy, and he has like 100 to 200 kills.
Oh my God.
And like he's telling this story, it was like the same thing with the crossbow. He's like, oh yeah, I just got a new crossbow. I was trying to figure out like how to kill someone with it. So I was just like walking I was walking, and then this guy was just stopped on the side of the road, and I just went up to his window and just shot him in the head with a crossbow. Like, he just,
as one does.
like, he just killed.
Yeah.
Like, no, like,
there's no emotion at all.
no. He was like, it was all about like the hunt. Like, he was like, I don't really care about the killing. It was all about figuring out how I can do it and get away with it.
That sounds like it's a common serial killer thing. Like, it's like the high they get off of planning it and then carrying it out.
I feel like I wish we knew like more psychology about serial killers, because like there's definitely like there's like the serial killers that are like more passion based. Like, those are, I feel like, the ones that have like real like mommy issues.
Yeah.
And then, like, there's the ones that are just like, they have like no,
like it's a game.
Yeah, like there's no empathy, like there's nothing like behind their face. It's just like, I'm just gonna kill you because I can.
Yeah. There's the ones that they go after like girls with brown ponytails. You know, like there's those ones who there's a connection, like a reason why they've went after those certain ones, and then ones like him where it's just like
Just gonna do it.
Yeah.
And he first earned the mafia's respect when he was 18, and they just picked out a random person and they were just like, kill him, and he did. Like,
Wow.
I just, like, there's, like, I mean, there's some where, like, they, like, track him down and, like, they stalk them and then kill him. And then this guy was just like, nope, I'm just gonna kill you.
I'm gonna go past all of that.
Yep. He killed with guns, hand grenades, ice picks, crossbows, and chainsaws. Basically anything
Yeah.
he could find. And, I mean, like, he was, like, a big guy.
I never heard of this guy before.
Yeah, he's from Dumont.
Wow, which is about 10 minutes away from where we are now.
Yeah. He's from Dumont. I think he lived on, like, a road that's, like, called, like, Sunnyside or something.
Yeah.
And then, so when they finally, like, tracked him down and, like, found him, he was just, like, leaving his house with, like, his, like, wife, and, like, all of a sudden, like, hundreds of cops just, like, come on this, like, quiet little road.
Uh-huh.
And that's how, like, his family, like, found out about it.
I wonder, like, how do you deal with that? Like, all of a sudden you find out your husband has
Or
killed...
your dad killed
has
hundreds of people.
Yeah. Wow.
And, like, he never killed women.
Mm-hmm.
It was only men. But it's just, like, so crazy. And, like, it wasn't that long ago. I think he was caught in, like, the late 80s, early 90s.
Wow.
And
I'm gonna go Wikipedia him.
yeah, he's an interesting read. And it's, like, even kind of, like, more interesting because, like, you know where he's from.
Yeah. Yeah, there's probably, like, we know exact places of where they said they, like, found things.
Yeah.
Okay, my first one, his name... So I picked, like, two very famous ones. You'll know them. The first one, his name is Dennis Lynn Rader, also known as the BTK Killer. Woohoo!
Yay! Boo!
BTK stands for Bind, Torture, and Kill.
Delightful.
He was active killing from 1974 to 1991. So he's like one of the... Normally, like I was reading about like some other serial killers, normally it's very quick. Like, because they can't possibly kill for that long. Yeah, or eventually, they do just lose it. But he's one of the like longest running ones. And they were all pretty much in Sedgwick County, Kansas. That's where I think, that may be where all of them are. So like quick early life, also tortured animals, and he had like a women's...
Hey guys, if your children are torturing animals, seek professional help.
Yeah, there's something... I mean, they're gonna be serial killers. He had a women's underwear fetish as a young kid. Again, if your child has a women's underwear fetish, seek help now.
Seek professional help.
They think he murdered about 10 people total, and he collected items from each murder scene. So he, like, as almost like a token. His first murder, and all of this is like when they finally caught him, he was pretty open about everything. But again, they're not exactly sure. Like, he could have done more, he could have done less. They're not really sure with all these dates and stuff. But his first murder was January 15th in 1974. The Otero family. It was parents and 2 children. The oldest son came home and found all the bodies.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And the oldest son wasn't that old either. I think he was like 14 or something. So he just comes home and sees his entire family was murdered. The second murder was a couple months later. Like, everything was a couple months. Like, it wasn't very rapid. Like, it wasn't like he had kill within like a week. They were very sprawled out. But we'll find out he was also kind of like a stalker and stuff. The second one was in April of that year. He killed Catherine Bright, but he didn't, he also tried to kill her brother. I guess, like, he got in the house and her brother was also there. He didn't kill him. And the brother was able to give a description, which would help when they finally did catch him. So like, a lot of famous, like the Zodiac Killer, they want fame. Because that's another part of it, is a lot of them, they want recognition for what they're doing. So he wanted attention for his crimes. So he placed a letter in a library book, just like some random book in the library. And he took responsibility for killing the Oteros, the first family. And he requested to be called the BTK Strangler. So, of course, then somebody finds this and gets it to the cops. So now the cops know that the guy who was sent, who the brother who identified him, but this is also in the 70s, so you figure, like, even with identifying, it still took a very long time. But now they connected it. The next murder, he strangled Nancy Fox and then called police to tell them that he did it. Like, you coy son of a bitch. And then he sent a poem to the newspaper about the previous murder. Then he sent a letter to the news station taking responsibility for the 2 murders. So the second one and then the third one. So he's just like playing with everybody. And this was all within that first year of when he started killing.
And how long before he started till he got caught?
Not until 2005. He was finally caught. So this is a long one. So despite the cat and mouse game with the cops, he was able to keep everything secret. He was also married and everything. Nobody knew. He continued to work at a security system company, which that's a big thing. Yeah. And he was married with 2 kids. Nobody knew a thing. The thing with the security system company is that he would get to go into people's homes and like look around and get a feel for who was home. So he really used that. That was a huge part of how he was able to kill so many people and do it in a way where he was watching them, like he knew when they'd be home and when they were out. So his next murder wasn't until 1979. So he took a little 5-year vacation. Well, he went back to an old lady's house and left before she came home. And then he sent her a letter letting her know that he was there. So just like playing with her. And like, can you imagine?
So messed up.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine coming home, like living alone, come home, and there's a letter just laying on the kitchen table that this guy was there. So then in 1985, he took another little break from 79 to 85.
Did he kill that little old lady?
No, actually he didn't. So actually he really took like a 10-year break. Well, from what they know. So in 85, he killed his neighbor. And then the next year he killed again. So then he kind of got back into the rhythm after taking a little bit of a break. Then in 1991 was the last victim that was killed. It's not known why he stopped, like why he kept taking those breaks. Because, again, that's not a normal thing for most serial killers. He left the security company in the 80s, and then he became a dog catcher. And he was known to be very, very strict, like really mean to the dogs, and like just like a jerk to the people too about it. But he would measure people's lawns while he was doing this, and like he took pleasure in like his little form of authority that he uses just being a dog catcher. Like he really liked that. He liked knowing that he could have control over other people. So on the 30th anniversary of the Otero murder, he comes back to the media. So he was gone for a long time. All of a sudden, he sends local media outlets letters. And he filled them with stories of the crimes he did and included pictures of the victims, which he would tie them up and torture them in all kinds of ways by cutting them and burning them and doing stuff like that. And then he left a word puzzle, almost like a crossword puzzle. And then he gave an outline of his story. But then again, like left with no name or anything. But then again, this is 30 years after through the 70s. So he should have known, like, the crime, the ways of doing things have been much better, have advanced by light years. So in 2005, he started leaving, again, toying with the cops. He started leaving packages with even more clues to all his murders. He left a computer disk, and this eventually was the one thing that led cops to his church, where, so they looked at the tapes from where the packages were left and noticed this white van was always where on the security tapes, this white van was always in the street. So then they took DNA from, I guess, his daughter, I think, suspected something. So the cops asked her, like, can we take some DNA? And it matched the stuff that was on the packages and stuff. And it was like, bingo. So then he was arrested on February 25th, 2005. He was charged with 10 counts of first-degree murder. Members of his church were stunned. They had no idea. Like, he was like a nice church man. They suspected nothing. He pled guilty to everything, like, didn't fight anything. There was no way he could fight. Like, he was... I mean, like, with that, you toy with the cops that many times, that's, you got nothing.
All of a sudden, just one clue and everything comes together.
Yeah. And he described, this is like in Mindhunter, he described every detail of each murder without any remorse. And he's currently serving 10 life sentences in Kansas. So then, like, I found, like, some of his signature moves. This is what we found out after he was talking. He would kill always during the day, which is really strange. Why he would kill during the day? He would cut the phone lines, and then then he would kill in the order of his name. So he would always bind, then torture, then kill. They said he has they said he has sexual dysfunction, and the only way to achieve gratification for that was to tie women up. So he had some issues going on. He would stalk the victims for months before attacking them. Really, really creepy. I heard there was this one lady.
I think I'd rather just be like killed like straight up than
don't watch
stalk.
me. Like, there was this one lady where he had been watching her for months, and then the one night he was gonna, and actually they show this in Mindhunter, because this is the guy. So if you watch Mindhunter on Netflix, the first like 5 minutes of each episode is just this random guy that you see, and this is the BTK killer. And I think in the very last or second to last episode, you see him, he goes in a house and he's obviously angry. So this is in real life. He was watching this woman for months, and he finally was gonna go kill her, and on that night she just decided to go to a dance class. So she wasn't home. So he went to go get her. She wasn't there. She was out for a couple of hours. So he just gave up on her. So that dance class saved her life. And it was like a square dancing class or something.
Oh, go
completely
girl.
saved her. He compared himself to the son of Sam in the Zodiac. Like, he had like an obsession with them. He wanted to be just like them. He started killing at night after like halfway through his murdering rampage. He just to fool the cops, and then he would take the bodies out instead of where he used to leave them in the house. He got really sloppy with his last killing. He was always very quiet about it, like very methodical about it. And the last one was really loud. Like, I think they said he broke a window to get into the house, and like he didn't try to silence the person at all. They were screaming. Which is very unusual for him, because he was very detail oriented about it. He planned to kill a lot more people. Like, they found a bunch of notes and stuff. He did plan to kill more, but then he was caught. And he was obsessed with the cops, obviously. He kept sending them things. He wanted to be strong like them. He pretty much wanted to be a cop. And go figure, he was really upset when the victims' families called him a coward. That, like, really, really made him angry. Like, but you is.
Yeah.
So, that's the BTK killer in
Interesting.
about 5 minutes.
That's pretty interesting.
So, Rissa's got...
These are probably the most messed up.
The grossest one I've ever heard.
Yeah, this one, like, I was in, like, a deep Wikipedia hole, and, like, dark hole. And I found them, and I was just, like, I couldn't stop. And then, like, after I had to watch, like, a whole season of Parks and Rec.
Yeah, it's something happy
I needed
and
happiness, because this was just, oh, good.
So, get ready.
All right, so this is about Fred and Rose. What's their last name? West. Fred and Rose West. So
we're going international here, people.
Yeah, these people are from England, and they're so messed up. I'll start with Fred, because he's really, well, he's not the mastermind. They're both equally screwed up.
Yeah.
But, so Fred is the second of 6 children. He was sexually abused. Well, he had sexual relations with his mom in his home. His father had sexual relationships with his sisters, and it was also suspected that he also had sexual relations with his sisters. And his father taught him bestiality. So there was just a whole lot going on over there in England.
And wasn't he was like, not, it wasn't like consensual. It was a whole lot of raping going on.
Yeah, there was like a lot of that going on. It was also suspected that got one of his sisters pregnant early on in life.
Poor child.
His mom babied him, and like if he got in trouble at school, like the mom would go in like raising hell at the teachers.
Yeah.
Like blaming them for everything. When he was 17, he got into a motorcycle accident, and he was in a coma for a week. He had to get a metal plate put into his head. And after that, he had like a really bad temper and like violent outburst. When he was 19, he was convicted of molesting a 13-year-old girl. He got no jail time because they said it was an epileptic fit.
You got to be kidding
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, awful.
Brock Turner from the past.
Mm-hmm. So, at 21, he got back together with one of his exes, who was a petty thief, and moved on to prostitution. Her name was Rena Catherine Costello. And she was pregnant with a Pakistani man's baby.
Mm-hmm.
So he took the baby like as if it was his own. And they married. He adopted the baby. And they said that the baby was half Asian because she was half Asian. But it was just all very weird.
They didn't want people to know. They wanted people to believe that was his kid.
Yeah,
so
they
that,
said
they
that there was like, oh, there's Asian, like, Asian
somewhere down the
ancestry
line.
really far back.
Yeah.
And then they had, in 1964, they had a baby of their own. And that baby's name was, the first baby's name was Charmaine Carroll.
Mm-hmm.
And then their baby was called Anne Marie. Fred became an ice cream truck driver. What was
Again?
up with ice cream?
Yeah.
Don't let your kids go to the ice cream man.
Makes me a little worried
A
for
lot
my
of creepy
childhood.
stuff going on. And he liked it because he had access to, like, a lot of young women. But until he accidentally ran over a 14-year-old boy with his truck.
Accidentally.
Supposedly it wasn't his fault.
Mm.
But, facts later on
Yeah.
lead to this being on purpose. This led to him having to move. He was in Gloucester County in England?
Yeah.
Is that how
They
you say
probably say it all Englishy.
Gloucester.
Yeah, or Gloucestershire.
Gloucestershire.
Yeah.
And they had to move because everyone hated him because he just killed a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah, I mean, for a good reason.
And got a job at a slaughterhouse.
Perfect.
Yeah. There was this woman that they got to take care of their children, Issa McNeil. And was a friend of Costello, who was...
Costello is his first wife?
Yeah.
So the
Rena.
nanny.
Yeah.
The nanny was a friend of hers, of his
Yeah.
wife.
So she started taking care of the kids. And so Issa McNeil took care of the children. And then there was another woman who was always around, Anna McFall, who was a friend of Rena. And they both moved in with them. Once in Gloucester, the marriage fell apart. And Rena moved back to Scotland without her girls. Knowing. Like, she had to have known, like, how messed up this guy was.
Yeah.
So she left without them. She returned in 1966 to find that Anne McFall had started a relationship with Fred.
So the nanny is now...
No, this was her friend.
Okay, this is just a random friend.
That lived with them.
Okay.
And so she started a relationship with him. She would become pregnant with his child and try to convince him to divorce Rena. So he killed her and dismembered and buried her.
The woman who... The friend.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But, so then, some point before this, when he killed her, he got back with Rena, but then she left him again. In 1968, Friend is suspected of killing again when 15-year-old Mary Boshlam disappeared from a bus stop. They could never prove that one.
Yeah.
Because I guess they never found the body or anything.
But obvious.
So this is when he meets Rose. Full name, Rosemary. She grew up in a troubled, abusive home. Her father, Bill Letts, was schizophrenic and constantly raped her. He wasn't very smart. No, she wasn't very smart and overweight, so she was bullied. In her teen years, she became sexually active and was caught getting into bed with one of her younger brothers and fondling him.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Some nasty
Stop
stuff.
with the incest already.
Yeah, like he was messed up, and now we're getting into her story, which was equally.
Yeah.
Her father's rules wouldn't allow her to date, and her being overweight, she couldn't date guys her own age because I guess they weren't into her.
Mm-hmm.
And she pursued older men, and one took advantage of her and raped her. At 15, her mother had had enough abuse by her father and moved in with one of the older daughters. Rose spent more time with men later on, and she then moved back with her father.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why you'd go back to...
Yeah, if
It's
he was
just-
abusive.
Yeah.
Be strong.
Then she met Fred, who was 12 years older than her.
Okay.
And Rosemary's father objected to them dating and confronted West in his trailer park home. I didn't even know they had trailer parks in England.
Yeah, me either.
I always thought they were, like, above it. You know what I mean? Like, they were just, like,
Their accents
trailer
just mean they
parks.
can't.
Yeah. So, yep. So then they had a big fight and everything, but she still stayed with him and then became pregnant with his child.
Wrap it up, man.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Heather. So this is his second, but, like, actual child, but his third because the first one isn't really his.
Yeah, okay.
But it's still living with him.
Okay.
So then...
it's 3 girls?
Yeah. So she then moved in and took care of all of the children.
Mm-hmm.
Rose also had a bad temper and took it out on the girls, who she resented since she had to take care of someone else's children. By 1971, Rosemary snapped and killed Charmaine.
The first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Killed her.
What? I wonder what made her snap. It was probably something like nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Like something like the littlest little thing would have probably just like, no, I'm just gonna kill you. So she severed the bodies, fingers, and toes, and then Fred buried her under the kitchen floor in their house.
Ew.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Ew.
In 1971, Raina disappeared when she came looking for Charmaine. Also did. When they found the bodies and fingers and toes, discovered it was suspected that Fred did Raina's.
Uh-huh.
So they married in 1972 after killing one of their children. Fred still encouraged Rosemary to have sex with other men for fun and money. Posted pictures in a swingers magazine of her. In 1972, they had another daughter, Mae West. And this is when they moved to their, like, really famous, like, it's called 25 Cromwell Street. And this is, like, where all the real bad stuff happened.
Because all that other stuff is tame.
This is tame compared to what's about to happen. So their new house was fitted with peepholes for Fred to use, and a red light was put outside the bedroom where Rose entertained men so the children wouldn't interrupt.
Such thoughtful parents.
Yes, this is just like the Cleavers. Over the next few years, Rose had 7 more children, 3 fathered by Fred. Another may have been fathered by her own father, who visited as one of her clients. Mm-hmm. So her father came. Yes. And now...
Nasty.
So now we have some more people who are about to enter the picture. So we'll go to Linda Go. There's so many weird names. It's like Gough.
Yeah, I think that's just Go.
She was a seamstress the West knew personally. She got killed by Fred West.
It seems like if you're a lady, you're going to get killed.
Yeah. So we have another girl, Card Ann Cooper, who disappeared while walking home. Killed. Lucy Catherine Parvington disappeared from a bus stop after Christmas. She was murdered by the both of them. They abducted her from the bus stop, held captive for a week over New Year's, and she was raped and tortured by both of them.
Jeez, for a week?
A week.
Wow.
Yeah. So from 1974 to 1979, they killed Teresa Singh Hollers, Shirley Hubbard, Janet Marianne Mott, Shirley Ann Robinson, Allison Chambers. They could have killed more, but they were not buried at their home. So they would kill all of these people and bury them in, like, their backyard.
Why?
Like, where their children played.
Yeah.
Like, so there was just, like, a cemetery back there.
Yeah.
They were also known to abduct, hold captive, rape, and release. Which I don't know how, like, they got away with that. But I guess people just weren't.
Yeah, maybe they're so afraid.
Yeah, because I'd be terrified of these people.
Yeah.
They sexually abused their own daughter, Ann West. She was impregnated by her father, but had to terminate because it was in her fallopian tube. And so she left home. Like, she got out.
Good for you, girl.
Then Fred moved on to Heather and May.
His other 2 daughters.
Yeah. In 1986, almost caught when Heather told her friends some of what was going on at home. So in the next year, they killed Heather. And they buried her under the patio.
It's like each room has a different child underneath it.
In May 1992... Oh, and, like, to their children, they would say, like, oh, you better behave or else we're going to bury you under the patio like Heather.
It's like a different version of I got your nose.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
But, like, they wouldn't, like, their kids had no idea, like, their parents were killing, like, their siblings.
Yeah. Well, I guess, and if they're raised that way, then they don't, like, they're being molested and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
like
that's all they know.
Yeah. And, like, if there's like all this stuff is going on in their house. Like,
yeah.
it's just all
Men
crazy.
coming in and out.
Mm-hmm. So in May 1992, Fred was exposed when
Expose him.
he was videoed. Fred was exposed when he taped his raping of one of his daughters, and she told her friends. They reported him. Another rape victim came forward. The case almost fell through when victims backed out, but officers got a search warrant and interviewed the children, who talked about the family joke where they would be killed and buried under the patio like Heather. So, like, the kids were probably just like, oh, yeah, we're bad, blah, blah, blah. And the cops were like, wait a second. So they started digging and finding bones, and Fred started confessing, saying how Rose had nothing to do with it. Rose would act like she had nothing to do with anything, and would snub Fred in court and cut all contact. She
really did not, like, love anybody.
No. So then Fred, in 1995, hung himself in his cell.
It's not fair, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Easy out.
Yeah, they should have. He should still be rotting to this day.
Yeah.
But, like, that's, like, drove him over. He was, like, so obsessed with Rose.
Yeah.
That, like...
And she obviously had no feelings for him.
And she killed his daughter.
Yeah.
Like...
She's probably, like, even... If it's possible to be the more insane one. But she really was insane. Yeah. Like, at least he did have some sort of feeling, but she was just mindless.
Yeah. So then, Rose almost got away with it, but it was discovered Charmaine was murdered while Fred was in jail. So they're figuring out, like, oh, he couldn't have done this.
You dumb hoe.
Mm-hmm. So then Rose was found guilty on 10 counts of murder and will never be released.
Good.
Which is, like, so good.
So crazy.
But
sometimes you think of these serial killers and it's like, oh, it happened so long ago, or they must be dead. They must have been, like, the death penalty. But, like, she's still in England right now.
And, like, there was this other story where, like, they had a housekeeper who was staying with them. Mm-hmm. And it was, like, because, like, they had this house and, like, people would stay with them all the time.
Yeah.
And this lady was staying with them. And then, like, she was realizing, like, because one time they, like, abducted her. Like, they lived in the house, but, like, they held her captive in the basement. And, like, they made her do all of this stuff for, like, an entire week. And then, like, they just let her go. And then, like, she moved away. And they went and, like, tracked her down. And, like, she was, like, walking on, like, the side of the road. And, like, they made her get in. And, like, they, like, abused her in the car. And, like, just let her go again.
Weird how they obviously were so quick to kill so many other ladies. But then the ones that they did let go.
Yeah.
The few.
And then there was some that, like, they, like, the one daughter who they did all this stuff to, and then, like, she just left and got out.
Yeah.
Like...
Do they know, like, totals? Like, how many they killed?
Fred killed at least 12 people.
It's gotta be more than that.
Yeah. Because he was
definitely for Psycho McGee married to him. Got it. She's...
And those are just the ones that they found, like, because they were able to find the bones in their house.
Yeah. Definitely more than that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So it's just...
You creepy.
So creepy.
Alright. My second one is one of the most notorious killers in the world. Mr. Ted Bundy.
There's a movie coming out about him.
Yeah, I
with
just
Zac
saw.
Efron.
And at first I was like, Zac Efron? Like, this
but
can't
it makes
be like...
sense.
He looks exactly like Ted Bundy.
Because, like, people, like, were, like, in love with Ted Bundy.
Yeah, like, he would get, like, love letters sent to jail because he was a good-looking man, which he used for his advantage, as we'll learn. But, yeah, I got high hopes. Zac Efron looks just like him. So, I think it's going to be good. He's, again, one of the most notorious killers in history. They think he started killing in 1974 to 1978. So, this was only 4 years compared to BTK, who was going for decades.
Yeah.
Some early life on him. His mom had him in secret at 22, and her parents raised him like it was their adopted child. She eventually got married and then took him to Washington. He actually grew up. His grandparents were from, like, Jersey, Philadelphia area, like South Jersey. His grandpa was very, 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 very violent, and Ted looked up to him. So he knew a violent man from the get-go. He was fascinated with knives at an early age. So, seek professional help. his teenage years, he started looking into people's windows and stealing their things. In college, he fell in love and was devastated when they broke up. Many later victims looked just like her, the one who broke his heart. Yeah.
And he never killed her?
No, she got out. And then he transformed himself. He was this really shy kid because he had that violent grandpa, so he was very quiet, and he completely transformed himself into this confident man, handsome man. So in 1974, women started disappearing, and stories said that they were last seen with this Ted. He would lure them into his car saying that he was hurt, and then they would come in. He moved to Utah, and then because he started in Washington, then moved to Utah, and then the women again began to go missing. So everywhere he was hopping around, all of a sudden a couple women would go missing. In 1974, cops pull him over and find a crowbar and face mask in his car.
Signs.
Yeah. Nothing happens. They don't do anything about it. In 1975, he's arrested for kidnapping a woman who got away. He served 1 year for kidnapping a woman. So
fuck the patriarchy.
This is 2 times now he's been pulled over and arrested. 1977, he's indicted on murder charges for the death of a Colorado woman. He served as his own lawyer, knowing he wouldn't be, this is how smart he was. He served as his own lawyer, knowing they can't handcuff you if he's serving as his own lawyer. So it was easier to run away. So he does escape. He gets out of jail, but then they catch him 8 days later. He escapes again from jail. He lost 30 pounds to do it and was able to squeak through the bars. And they didn't know he was gone for 15 hours. So in 1978, he makes his way to Florida State University and goes straight to a sorority house. And he just goes on a rampage. He attacks 4 girls, kills 2 of them. There's bite marks on the girls. He just went on a rampage. And then in February, he kills a 12-year-old. So this is a month after the sorority killing. And this is all the while he's on the run. He was in jail and escaped jail. He killed a 12-year-old, and then he was finally pulled over. So the damning evidence, so this is when he's arrested, the damning evidence was the bite marks on the Florida State girls. And then he killed and attacked everybody within 15 minutes. That's all it took for him to beat 4 girls and kill 2 of them. In 1979, he was given the death penalty for both murders of just the Florida State girls, none of the other stuff that he did. He was given another death penalty for the 12-year-old. So then his trial, it was charming and highly, highly intelligent, which made him into a very quick celebrity. He spent years appealing the death sentence because I think that Scott Peterson guy, he's still alive. He got the death penalty. It takes years and years and years for whatever reason to finally kill them. He tried to take it to the Supreme Court, but was turned down. And he also helped to try, he thought maybe he could get out of it if he helped with some unsolved murders, but then was still turned down for that. And then he was electrocuted on January 24th, 1989. So then I got some little background things. He admitted to 30 murders, could possibly be more. He only admitted to 30. Sometimes when he would go back after killing them, he'd kill them, leave, and then go back and did some gross things to the body. He also would groom them, he would wash their hair and then dry it and put makeup all over them and dress them up. These girls
That's weird.
Yeah, these girls were dead. He decapitated at least 12 of his victims. There could be more. He kept some of the heads in his apartment as little mementos, as one does. He changed his story a lot in the beginning of the murders. He, when he was talking to the cops afterwards, he didn't go into as much detail in the beginning as the later ones for whatever reason. Some people say he started killing as a teenager. It was actually in Atlantic City, like 2 people were murdered in the early 70s or late 60s, and they do think now that was him, and because that's where his grandpa and grandma were from. And when he would come back and visit him, they do think he came back one time and killed 2 people. Cops were watching him for like a long time, obviously. Like, I think they could have moved a little bit quicker here. They had multiple chances to get him. They were talking to his ex-girlfriend, the one who broke his heart, a lot because she kept in contact with him for a long time. Like, even when he would go back to Washington, he would meet up with her. He would stay with her. She did have an idea that something was wrong, but she also had to be very careful because he was killing anybody who even remotely looked like her.
Yeah.
So had long brown, like pretty hair, small built, like skinny girls. He would kill. Those were always his victims. So, but she had to be very careful. So she was in contact with them for a long time. Giving like, if he ever after he did go to her, she would run straight to the cops and talk to them about everything. He sold his car, which was a Volkswagen Bug. I think it was like a brownish copper color. He sold that car to a kid, and cops impound it and find the DNA samples from 3 of the ladies that he killed.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, like that's the car. Like, this is like, and it's a kid. It's his first car, and that's the car he buys, and it's Ted Bundy's car with the DNA samples of 3 ladies. Just disgusting. His first trial was the first to be covered nationally. He had to be, that was the one that he was in charge of. And he married a lady while he was in jail. Florida. This was in Florida.
Of course.
What is wrong with you, Florida? Like,
get out of Florida, Sam.
This, he murdered, like, 30 people. And why are you marrying him? And this was like when he was in jail finally for good. And when he was waiting to die was when he finally gave the interviews about, like, when he started to go in depth about everything. He had an obsession with possessing people, like that, again, like kind of like BTK. He confessed to murders that cops didn't even know about. Like, he was like cracking some murders there. And then I think that's all I have for Mr. Ted Bundy. Let me just check real quick.
That's like, there's so many with these things. There's so many times when, like, the cops are right there. Like, who was it? Who was the one that ate everyone? Was that
Jeffrey Dahmer? Yeah.
I was reading about him, and there was one time because he would kill men because he was gay, and so he would, like, tie them up and, like, rape them, and then he would, like, once they were dead too, he would do it, and, like, he was trying to figure out a way how he could drill, like, a hole, like, lobotomize people. So, like, they were basically just zombies, so we could just use them for, like, sex.
Ugh.
And he had this one, it was, like,
chill.
an underage kid, and he didn't speak, like, English or anything. And he, like, drilled a hole into this kid's head, and then, like, the kid escaped. So then, like, he comes back, and the kid's gone with, like, he's got a hole in his head.
Yeah, so he's got a hole in his head.
And he's running all over the place, and then he finds him, like, talking to, like, 2 people, like, trying to, like, communicate with, like, 2 people on the street, but, like, he's, like, messed up, he's got a hole in his head.
Yeah.
He doesn't really speak English, and then, like, so then the people call the cops, and, like, a cop comes, and he's, like, goes up to me, he's like, oh, no, this is just my boyfriend, like, he's a little crazy, blah, blah, and the cop just lets him go.
See?
Like, there's a hole in this boy's head.
Cops, what's the matter with you? They're laying it on.
He's like, oh, we got in a fight, and he's mad.
They couldn't make it easier, like, and I could understand, like with BTK, like, he did things so secretly, like, you didn't have, like, modern day technology to help you out. You pulled over Ted Bundy 3 times, like, come on now.
You found Jeffrey Dahmer with a boy with a hole in his head.
Come on now.
And Jeffrey Dahmer would also, like, after he'd, like, cut them up and, like, eat them.
Yeah, maybe we'll save him for next time.
He's a good one.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have more, because the reason this one took so long is that my mother, Lori, has an obsession with serial killers, and she was, I think the one we got an idea from for this, she really wanted to be on the episode, but we just couldn't make it happen. And
there's hundreds of middle-aged white men out there killing people. So.
Yeah. So the topics are endless.
Yep.
So we can just keep it on going.
Yeah. Isn't there like anywhere from like, isn't there like a specific number of how many like serial killers there are like in the United States at a certain point?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah, there is. It's like at any time, and like you don't even know that they are, because they could be like the BTK and take years off from each one.
Mm-hmm.
There's one in Florida, and they haven't caught him yet, right? There's
the
one right now.
He was like, is that the one that was like on the side of the road like shooting people?
I don't know. There's. I don't know. Did they? I didn't hear anything that they caught him, but they did say that the murders that they found were the same. So they're like, this is a serial killer.
Get out of Florida, Sam.
They were just laying it on there for
There's
you.
also well, they actually found her, but there was a missing person from my town.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
But was she dead when
She's
they
dead.
found her?
They found her foot.
Oh, that yes, years ago. Yeah.
Very interesting. It's like a boy in my brother's class, like when he was in like grammar school. She went missing, and like no one, like all of her, everything was like left at her house. Like she didn't have like her medication. I think she was like epileptic, and she didn't have any of her medications or anything. And then one day she just like went missing.
Yeah.
And it was the weirdest thing. And like
in
for
a small
years,
town like this, like
one
everybody
square mile,
knows.
like everyone knows everything, and everyone knew her, and she just went missing. And like she was like the librarian at like my grammar school, and then, but you know what had happened? They had found her foot right before like 9/11, and it just got like pushed all the way back with like all of like the human remains they had, like because they found the foot in the Hudson River.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody really knows, like, what really happened, like, if, like, she committed suicide or if, like, she was murdered.
Yeah.
But, like, it's just, like, all of the foot got, like, pushed back in the back, and, like, they finally figured out, like, who it was.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
All because of 9/11.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, things were a little busy then.
Yeah.
A little busy in the
So, yeah.
police department.
This was a dark episode.
Yeah. So, I don't know what next week will be yet, but we'll make it lighter for you. So
Maybe we'll go into, what are some other dark topics? Politics?
These days.
So yeah, if you have any ideas for us, leave a comment on maybe our page or our Instagram.
Instagram's
or
most
Twitter.
active.
Yeah, our Instagram's pretty solid. Yeah. Look it up. What is our Instagram?
I think it's PorkRoll.Vs. What is it?
We'll let you know in about 5 seconds.
It is PorkRoll.Vs. Taylor Ham. That is the gram.
You could see some lovely pictures of myself.
Yeah. Did you like those?
No, not at all. Those are those pictures like we're somewhere and like you come up to me like a straight, like I'm like turning around and you just take a picture and it's a really bad angle.
I liked those.
I hate them.
They got a lot of likes.
Because I got a lot of likes. My mer people. They're just happy I'm back.
All right, everyone. Have a good week. Goodbye.